the Fed was offering the markets an amazing deal. No regulation to prevent you taking risk, but if your bets went wrong, lower interest rates to rescue you. U.S. stocks soon became more overvalued than at any other time in history.
Stocks got to just astronomical levels. People were forming new companies without any business plans, and investors were giving them money and say, build your website, build your reputation, we don't care, the faster you spend it, the better. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous.
We were worried about that at the Fed, and we talked about it a lot. Should we raise interest rates in an attempt to prick the bubble before it got too bad, or not? And we decided not.
Bubbles generally are perceptible only after the fact. To spot a bubble in advance requires a judgment that hundreds of thousands of informed investors have it all wrong.
Greenspan said, "Who am I to interfere with thousands of investors?" In other words, the market's efficient, despite the fact that I'm manipulating it. So he let it go.
It was only the June meeting from 1999 where everybody looked around at each other and said, this is unsustainable. There was a unanimous agreement this was not going to end well. And then people said, well, I guess what we should do is just move interest rates up gently and wait for the bubble to burst. This is something I think the general public doesn't really realize. When times are good and equity prices are moving up, people want to believe prices, whether they're in housing or equity, when they're on their way up, they're on their way up because the general public has a feeling of buoyancy, of optimism. Some might say delusion.
4, 3, 2, 1, happy 2000!
At the millennium, people still believed that we had entered a new era of prosperity, and that we had indeed created a new kind of economy. Like those monetary experts of the 60s, we thought we'd found the perfect formula. And we were supremely confident that Alan Greenspan, as he had done in '87 and '98, could easily save us again.
One earlier Fed chairman famously said, the role of the Fed is to take away the punch bowl just when the party gets rolling. Alan Greenspan's attitude was 180 degrees away from that.
Greenspan came to the idea that the Fed could not identify a bubble as it was inflating.
Now, many of us would disagree with that rather vigorously.
It couldn't identify, really, if the market had gotten ahead of itself, was too high, let alone whether it was crazy.
So the role of the Fed is simply to wait till the bubble breaks and then pick up the pieces.
While bubbles that burst are scarcely benign, the consequences need not be catastrophic for the economy.
That was Greenspan's view, and it has been subsequently ravaged by experience. The Fed has no such power.